Need a system of choosing across a repertoire of language arts activities that are cross-referenced among themselves and to other resources. The way we tried to do this in the old interaction program was have hundreds of physical activity cards that were unsequenced but were cross-referenced. These could be selected and combined in any way according to the needs of individual students. Well, today's software makes it possible to do this much better. In other words, in effect, put the activity cards on screen, exemplify them, and cross-reference them in multimedia. But once they're on computer, these activities, their directions, their examples, the cross-referencing, the indexing, you can then use them as prototypes to make physical activity cards with desktop publishing and other machines. And so you can have it both ways. You can have the activity directions on screen or off. The second thing you need, besides this repertoire of activities, is access by all parties to these modular activities, because what you're going to do, the student and teacher together, is individualize the curriculum by selecting and combining these various activities in unique ways. You decentralize the curriculum totally that way. Now, software can set up the menus by which these are arrayed. They can exemplify them in multimedia. They can store them, index them, do all of these things that otherwise the teacher would have had to do with physical materials. The software facilitates other things that are needed for individualizing, which are counseling by the teacher as to what to do next, which activity to choose, the record keeping of which activities the student has already done, and the products, some form of electronic portfolios. These parts of the process of decision-making and building individual curriculum, the counseling, the record keeping, the keeping of portfolios, these have always been difficult problems for teachers, something even just like keeping track of which kid has done what. And particularly counseling, meeting with the student from time to time, looking over what's been done in the past, trying to figure out what to do next. Most teachers have found this extremely difficult. Portfolios may be a little easier, but there are physical problems there, and storing on electronic media is very helpful. The computer can assist in the difficult job of counseling which activities to put together next, which follow-ups, which lead-ins are good to a certain activity. You can do this by showing indexed connections among the different activities, according to the subject matter, the type of literary form or discourse, the particular skill or competency that might be involved, any number of useful things that would be involved in decision-making about how to follow up one activity with another language arts activity. Computers can also help by indicating all sorts of resources, data banks, reading lists, archives that would need to be carry out to carry out the projects. An issue that always comes up too, this is a bit of an aside here, but I know as teacher training, how do teachers learn to do something like this? And my idea has always been to try to have a teacher teaching curriculum. In other words, sort of learning on the job, because there's never really an opportunity for a teacher to learn something innovative like this in ed school. They have to learn on the job, and I think that's what happens when you have a whole system put together in the software. For example, we tried in the old interaction program to have traditional teachers' guides with little scenarios written there about how to begin something innovative like this and how to carry it out. But it's difficult to convey all that in teachers' guides. Whereas when you have this in software program, you can combine some of the helpful directions to the teacher with the actual presentation of the activities. For example, some of the activities we were using then were very unfamiliar to teachers, like all kinds of improvisations, or even the writing workshop, reading workshop, weren't done then, or something like chamber theater, readers theater. So we shot films, 20-minute films of those all across the country in classrooms that were doing them well enough to illustrate